Hello, and thank you for joining me today on Live with a Purpose. Follow me. These are the words that Jesus came to proclaim to people, to tell people to follow him, to follow his way. And what is his way? His way is God's way. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, in John 14:6. Jesus called Matthew, who was a tax collector. He was essentially, to his own people, a traitor, an abuser, someone who was taking advantage of them, because tax collectors were seen as the low of the lows. They were contracted out first by the Roman government to others who had contracts for taxes, and then on down the line, and then they would find people to collect taxes, and they would take something for themselves. And some of them would abuse the privilege and take too much money from people. And 90% of the people in that time were poor. So they would take things, and they would take their properties or the very little that they had. And Jesus came to call people like this, people that were pariahs in their own communities. In Matthew 9:9-13, it says, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man called Matthew sitting at the tax booth, and he said to him, follow me. And he rose and followed him. And as Jesus reclined at table in the house, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they said to his disciples, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? But when he heard it, he said, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice, for I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. This is the whole mission. This is the whole purpose for why Jesus came, because there is sin in the world. Because from the very beginning in Genesis 3, Adam and Eve sinned. They missed the mark. They disobeyed God. And because they did so, they didn't live lives that were perfect, lives that were on the path. And ever since, we've all, on our own, have done the same thing. And we do it every day. We do it all the time. And so Jesus came to say, follow my way. Look at what I'm doing. Making disciples, making followers, to follow him. God is calling us to follow him. No matter how bad the situation, no matter what you've done, God calls you to follow him. He knows what you've done. And yet he came for people like you, for people like me. It's wise to consider that Jesus says that he came for the sick. He came for the unrighteous. He came for those that say, I can't do it on my own. I need help. Maybe I act like I got it together, but I don't. Before God, I'm off. Jesus came for those. He didn't come for those that think they don't have a problem, that they don't need any help. They'll have to figure it out at Judgment Day. So consider this, that God calls you and continues to call you to follow him. Just stay on the path. Follow me is what Jesus said. And what did Matthew do? He rose. He left the tax booth. He left his old way of life, and he followed Jesus. Thank you for joining me today on Live with a Purpose.